Hi guys, what's going on? Back here at the workbench again. This is Dan here as always, and in this video we're going to be covering locomotive projects that I have done for myself. In the last video we covered the projects that I've done for others, but this time I've saved the best for last and decided to show my own locomotives that I've done for myself here. Now I have 4 of them and they're all an interesting story on their own. And I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can. Hopefully we don't get past 10 minutes here. I'll try to do my best here to explain in detail what these locomotives represent here, but these should be some interesting models for you guys. I think you'll find these pretty exciting. I wanted to go ahead and start though. The first locomotive I have here is a Union Pacific SD70 ACE that I picked up at a train show for I think $110. This was brand new, and it's by a guy, I forget, I think it's a DLH Loco. And I think they're in Columbus, Ohio, and they do like DCC work and stuff like that on locomotives, and he is one of the mass distributors of Athearn products and stuff like that, so he has a lot of these brand new locomotives just sitting around that he ends up taking to train shows and sells for dirt cheap. So it was kind of hard because I was actually thinking of getting one of these or one of the brand new SD70M flared radiator units that he had in the Union Pacific scheme, which he had like retail, or not retail, but he had actually for like $120 between the SD70Ms and the SD70 ACEs. I ended up choosing the SD70 ACE though, so this is what I have. This is Union Pacific 8419, and I've done this unit according to prototype photos. Everything on this is prototypically correct. You can actually go to roadpicturearchives.net, look up the 8419, and see the pictures of it in the modern day, which is today, and you can compare that to the model. So to start, I gotta say Athearn did an excellent job on their ACEs. They're really well detailed, and I really like the level of detail they put into their models now. So it really helps for a modeler like me who wants all that detailing. Athearn just does a really nice job, and they really did a good job on this unit. So like I said, pretty much what I did to this one, using the prototype photos, weathered it and detailed it accordingly. I added the reflective sill striping to the unit, and that's on both sides and the ends on the anti-climbers. That's my reflective tape material that I use. So that's all reflective, which is awesome. Then I just weathered up the trucks, the fuel tank, and the whole high car body of the locomotive accordingly, as you can see. And now if you look at the numbers, you can see they're all chipped up and damaged, and I'm not sure what caused that, but at some point in time this unit had came in contact with something and scraped up the numbers pretty good. So this is one of the earlier SD70 ACEs too, so it is a little beaten up. That's why I modeled it like I did. And you can see on the front here, nicely weathered pilots. You can see you got the brand new rusty knuckle couplers, which was prototypically correct for this unit. At some point in time it got replacement couplers. So you got the working ditch lights on the anti-climber. The nose is nicely weathered, and you can see the top here of the nose. You can see it's nicely faded down, and you got a little bit of rust starting at the very top there. You can see that came out pretty good. Then on the battery box doors, you get all that rust. You got it all streaking down the side there. Really nice. Came out really good. Darkened the grills, did all that. Came out pretty good. You can see I had to fade down the American flag, something very important on these, because the American flag logos on these locomotives get faded pretty quickly. Now if you look at the fuel tank came out really good. You can see all the grease that's streaking down the side of it. I did that with some oil washes, which I use my enamel stains to do that effect. And basically I try to create the look of some flushed fluids. When they flush the fluids on this thing, they run down the sides of the locomotive, and as you can see the sill is relatively clean, but the fuel tank still has a little bit of remnants of grease still dripping down the sides, indicating that at some point in time it had the fluids flushed, and you can see that it's just all kind of washed down the sides now, and the remnants are on the fuel tank, and they're even a little bit on the trucks, but not so much the trucks. You can see the trucks are nice and grimed up. So it came out pretty good. There's the top. I did add the PTC antenna array to this, so I had to take off the cab roof and modify it. I had to cut off all the existing equipment to add the PTC antenna array, which I custom painted and detailed up, as you can see. Really nice part. Weathered up the roof. You can see you get the slight bit of rust on the roof, and then you get the exhaust. And there's the fans on that bad boy. You can see nice and grimy. There's the rear. You can see on the rear, again, there's that replacement coupler, MU jumper cable. Came out pretty good. Go ahead and show this side. Now, on this side, you can see I damaged the American flag. And this is prototypically correct because If you look at the photos, like I said, of 8419, you'll see that it has the damage on the flag, possibly from heat damage. You can see half the graphic is peeled off kind of towards the top, and then on the bottom here on this door, and then you get this white and white kind of bleaching on the one side, on the one door here, and then you get the rust starting, and then the stripe at the very top is bleached and it's pretty much peeled off. So you can see I modeled that came up pretty good. Again, reflective striping. You can see fuel tank's nice and grimy. You can see the little area where it's relatively clean from the fuel spill. You can see that I modeled that as well. There's the trucks. The hardest part is doing the wheels on the Genesis models because the truck side frames are kind of hard to get off, and you got to do it carefully without pulling the electrical pickups off the truck. It's really tricky, but if you can do it, it's kind of, you really have to weather those wheels, otherwise you'll have shiny wheels behind weathered plastic frame, which really doesn't look good. So I had to weather the wheels, which is kind of tricky on these. But it came out pretty good. And then as you look at the cab, you can see you got the replacement panels, the replacement battery box doors, which are a primary yellow kind of a color. You can see I modeled those, and they're just really rusted up now. You can see it's all prototypically accurate. You can see the beat up numbers, really grimy, as you can see. Came out pretty good. I really like it, and right there especially, that just came out really good. All my hand painted rust effects followed behind with those chalk pestles and the powders came out really good. But there's my SD70 ACE. Still got to add DC to it, or DCC to it. I got to place a decoder order again for actually all four, and make that 5 units now. But there's the ACE number 8419. That'll be hitting the road here pretty soon. Put it in service, hauling some coal trains or whatever. Now this next one is really cool. I got this again at a train show, like for $80. Now, it's basically an SD40M-2 for SP. And as you guys know, the ones that are still surviving now that are pretty much out into lease service, I know CSX is leasing a few of these that are owned by NREX now, they're in really bad shape. Literally, they look like this. The paint's bleached and they're just beat to crap. So this was quite the project on its own. There's a lot that could be said to doing the work on this locomotive, and I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. Basically what I had to do to model the 2779 here was I had a Kato SD45 that I picked up at a train show, and basically it was already custom painted for Southern Pacific and the speed lettering, which already made it pretty accurate, but I had to add the Southern Pacific appropriate details like the formula light packages and all the appropriate details, as you can see. Basically what I did was I weathered it up. You can see I did all kinds of washes and blotchy paint effects to do basically the paint peeling and the chipping, especially on the fuel tank, the high hood, you can see, and then especially on the roof you can see that heavy paint chipping, which just came out really nice. On the nose especially, you can see the reds pretty much shot, and you get the replacement red patch for the Union Pacific shield, as you can see. You got a replacement door on there, and then the rust all around the number boards and on the cab. You can see it's just really beat up. You can see the replacement, also the replacement panel door, the painted Union Pacific Armor Yellow. Added all the detail parts on the front, the ditch lights, all that. So that's all done, and you can see once I did all basically the patchy weathering, then I went back and added like the rust and the dirt and the grime and all that. So it came out really good, but I really like it. And then I did the patches, as you can see. That's labeled for an SD40M-2, which is accurate. You can see the trucks. You got the replacement journal on the cap there. The heavy rust on the trucks, they're really faded. There's the fuel tank. And there's the other truck. And then you can see the reflective sill striping, which I did again with the reflective tape. It looks really nice because it's actually reflective, so it's really cool. And there's a replacement door on this end, which is a Union Pacific yellow door. As you can see, grills are darkened. It's just really heavily weathered, as you can see. And as you get to the tail end here, there's that red blotchy paint, which took a long time to do. All the details on that are added to the ends, as you can see. Looks really good. And as you look at the fans, you can see the mismatched fans, which have the paint chipping on them. You can see all the rust and all that. Just came out really good. Really happy with this guy. And on the other side here, you can see you get more rust on the trucks. It's really rusty on this side in particular. You can see got a rusty sunshade there. All the rust on the cab or on the grills. The red reflective sills pretty much starting to peel on the front there. You got all the rust streaking down too. As you can see, came out pretty good though. I really like this unit. Like I said, it just came out really nice. Just wanted to have one of these older veterans in my fleet. I've really wanted to do one of these for a while, but I couldn't find an accurate SD45, and I didn't really want to have to paint one for the speed lettering. So when I found this at the train show, it was really, really cool. Got the waste retention tank on the back there, something that you really need to add to a lot of these units now since they're modernized. A lot of them have the waste retention tanks for the fuel oil, or the waste oil. So yeah, I did all the fuel tank piping on this as well, so that's all accurate. Again, there's the Union Pacific patches and all that. All the roof detailing is done and all that. But the unit came out really good. I really like it. The only thing I can say about this is that this is the stock Kato unit, so it's got to have the DCC. So what I'm going to have to do is probably have someone work on this for me, since I don't have any experience with the Kato DCC installations. I've only done the Athearn units. So I'll probably actually set this aside and get the DCC installed on this later. So it's no real big priority. And right now, I just really kind of have this sitting around for display, so I'm really happy with it though. There's the Union Pacific 2779, my SD40M-2. Like I said, good to have at least one or two of these older SP veterans sitting around if you model the Union Pacific, which I do in the early 2000s, or kind of mid to late 2000s like this. It's still good to have these veterans. So